And let's continue with the seventh chapter of Mary Poppins Comes Back, An Evening Out. Jane and Michael have watched the Circus of the Stars. Michael had the moon thrown to him. And now all of the constellations are bowing toward Jane and Michael, who, if you remember, are sitting under the royal box. So let's see what happens. As the lash swung up, every star and constellation turned in its tracks. Then with one movement, every one of them bowed. "Are they... They can't be bowing to us," whispered Michael, clutching the moon more tightly. A familiar laugh sounded behind them. They turned quickly. There, sitting alone in the royal box, sat a well-known figure in a straw hat and blue coat and a gold locket round its neck. "Hail, Mary Poppins, hail!" came the masked voices from the circle ring. Jane and Michael looked at each other. So this was what Mary Poppins did on her evening out! They could hardly believe their eyes, and yet there was Mary Poppins, as large as life, and looking very superior. "Hail!" came the cry again. Mary Poppins raised her hand in greeting. Then, stepping primly and importantly, she moved out of the box. She did not seem in the least surprised to see Jane and Michael, but sniffed as she went past. "How often," she remarked to them across Orion's head, "have you been told that it is rude to stare?" She passed on down to the ring. The great bear lifted the golden rope. The constellations drew apart, and the sun moved a pace forward. He spoke, and his voice was warm and full of sweetness. "Mary Poppins, my dear, you are welcome." Mary Poppins dropped to her knees in a deep curtsy. "The planets hail you, and the constellations give you greeting. Rise, my child." She stood up, bending her head respectfully before him. "For you, Mary Poppins," the sun went on, "the stars have gathered in the dark blue tent. For you they have been withdrawn tonight from shining on the world. I trust, therefore, that you have enjoyed your evening out." "I never had a better one, never," said Mary Poppins, lifting her head and smiling. "Dear child," the sun bowed, "but now the sands of night are running out, and you must be in by 10:30. So before you depart, let us all, for old time's sake, dance the dance of the wheeling sky." "Down you go," said Orion to the astonished children, giving them a little push. They stumbled down the stairs and almost fell into the stardust ring. "And where, may I ask, are your manners?" hissed the well-known voice in Jane's ear. "What must I do?" stammered Jane. Mary Poppins glared at her and made a little movement toward the sun, and suddenly Jane realized. She grabbed Michael's arm and, kneeling, pulled him down beside her. The warmth from the sun lapped them about with fiery sweetness. "Rise, children," he said kindly. "You are very welcome. I know you well. I have looked down upon you many a summer's day." Scrambling to her feet, Jane moved toward him, but his whip held her back. "Touch me not, child of earth," he cried warningly, waving her further away. "Life is sweet, but no man may come near the sun. Touch me not." "But are you truly the sun?" demanded Michael, staring at him. The sun flung out his hand. "O stars and constellations," he said, "tell me this, who am I? This child would know." "Lord of the stars, O sun," answered 1,000 starry voices. "He is the king of the south and north," cried Orion, "and the ruler of the east and west. He walks the outer rim of the world, and the poles melt in his glory. He draws up the leaf from the seed and covers the land with sweetness. He is truly the sun." The sun smiled across at Michael. "Now do you believe?" Michael nodded. "Then strike up, and you constellations, choose your partners." The sun waved his whip. The music began again. Very swift and gay and dancy. Michael began to beat time with his feet as he hugged the moon in his arms. But he squeezed it a little too tightly, for suddenly there was a loud pop, and the moon began to dwindle. "Oh, look what's happening!" cried Michael, almost weeping. Down, down, down shrank the moon until it was as small as a soap bubble. Then it was only a wisp of shining light, and then his hands closed upon empty air. "It couldn't have been a real moon, could it?" he demanded. Jane glanced questioningly at the sun across the little stretch of stardust. He flung back his flaming head and smiled at her. "What is real and what is not? Can you tell me, or I you? Perhaps we shall never know more than this, that to think a thing is to make it true, and so, if Michael thought he had the moon in his arms, why, then he had indeed."
"Then," said Jane, wondering, "is it true that we are here tonight, or do we only think we are?"
The son smiled again a little sadly. "Child," he said, "seek no further. From the beginning of the world